Welcome back to the breakdown. Well, I am so grateful for information. Look, I was just watching this Hannibal is Hungry video where Stephanie Wiedemann, who is a former employee of Tiffany Henyard, at the village at the Thornton Township, is speaking about something that reminds me of something Stan Brown said with his dumb ass. I want to take you very quickly to what Stan Brown said. And then I want to take you to what Stephanie Wiedemann said, because she absolutely confirms what Stan Brown said. He don't even realize what he said. Hold on, let's go. And Kim's wig, shout out to you. Good evening.
The feds show up to get her, then we're going to continue to do a great job for the village of Dalton. And that ends my report.
Good girl.
Yep. Thank you, Kim.
But what was the actual report? But anyway, come on.
Well said. Next is corporate bills. Trustee Stan Brown.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I did hear something very true today, and I appreciate that from the old trustee Ed Steve. No, I'm not a finance major. I don't specialize in finance, but I generalize enough to read this report. We pay.
Okay, that was a cute little read. It was really corny, but it's really important what he's about to say when he starts by saying we pay. Now, keep in mind, Stan Brown is a paid position too. I think the position of a trustee, oh, excuse me, I want to say it's $43,000 a year, or maybe it's 25. One of those two. It's not a really not a high pay position, but especially for the expertise that's necessary to do it right. But Stan Brown gets paid to read these numbers too. Let's continue.
We pay a finance director to put these numbers together. They scrub these bills down and put the number.
What'd he say? He said they scrub these bills down and put the numbers together.
And yes, it's being read. So this is not here where I'm going to be debating on arguing about numbers. A finance director to put these numbers together. They scrub these bills down and put the numbers together, and yes, it's being read. So this is not here where I'm going to be debating on arguing about numbers. The report is being read. A finance director to put these numbers together. They scrub these bills down and put the numbers.
They scrub these bills down. And I mentioned that earlier when I was talking. And I said, I wonder if he don't realize what the fuck he's saying. Because they literally do be scrubbing the bills. They literally are changing names on invoices. Let's take a look.
Things. But
as they got that FOIA request. So we used to.
I'm going to go back a little bit. Sorry.
Sure, she will let us know how it's not being ran properly, but we're going to go through a few topics here to kind of break down what's going on, especially that referendum that I saw yesterday, the day before, where there's some mayors going against that, since the township is more of a collection of what, I think 170,000. How big is the township?
Yeah, we're right under 190,000 residents. So it's 17 communities.
17 communities.
I'm just letting them warm up their interview real quick. What she actually starts off talking about is so good. So good. I'm so glad that she has a connection with a person with a platform, because every single time Stephanie Wiedemann comes to the camera, she brings more information. And I'm so glad that she has a connection where she can just pick up the phone and be like, I need to go on camera. Because she definitely is bringing the information. I pray for her peace. I pray for her safety and that of her family, for sure. Because whatever she's doing right. I just wanted to let them warm up a little bit, but let's let them get into the conversation.
So let's just jump into with some of the invoices. I know I posted some of those invoices relating to Tiffany Henyard. There was some little issues, I guess, with what was said on there, right?
Correct. So you had showed an invoice for the Crown Plaza. I believe that was the Crown Plaza Hotel. I think it was presented as if it was two separate invoices, one for Thornton Township, for the village of Dalton. But what it actually was at the time, there were still some people I knew that worked there. One of the people that worked there had come across an invoice that was made out to the village of Dalton, but it had a Thornton Township check attached to it. So it was paid by the township, even though it was billed to the village. So to prevent anybody from getting in trouble, I sent a FOIA asking for this invoice. They sent it back to me. The only difference was, instead of it being billed to the village of Dalton, they had changed it to Thornton Township. So it was the exact same invoice, the same amount, the same everything, except for the billing at the top left-hand corner, I believe, was changed.
And I guess when you look at that, that's eyebrow raising when you know that it wasn't there first, but like someone must have changed it as they got that FOIA request. So when you saw that, when you first saw it, what you thought? What was your first thoughts?
Actually, I was quite shocked. It's one thing to just not be honest about things, but it's another thing to be, I guess, downright deceitful and dishonest. If you did it, you did it. Just send the backup and, kind of just suck it up. You made a mistake. You could have said a million things, but to alter the papers is pretty brave.
I think, and let me know.
I think it's some Keith Freeman dumb shit to do because I think Keith Freeman thinks he's a lot cooler than he is. I don't think he knows he's shaped the way that he is. I think he thinks he's fine. And that is a shame. I think he thinks he's a lot smarter than he is. I used to have kids at Apple who I would always tell, just because you're the smartest person in your family don't mean you that smart, honey. You still work for me. I wasn't put in this position to manage your career without being at least a little smarter than you. I see every trick before you play it, boo. You playing games I got away with, honey. No, I don't think Keith Freeman is that smart. I think that he technically has some prowess, but I don't think he has the wisdom to go along with it. And when I took on my role at Apple, I asked God, what's my purpose? And God said, you're going to have to humble some of these little niggas. Okay, you gonna have some of the smartest kids in the whole entire world working for you, and they think they can get away with a whole lot of shit, and you gonna have to stay on top of them. And I'm gonna tell you, I had this one dude, I used to have to catch him, get him to confess to me the things they were doing. I would build relationship and talk with him, and when I caught him doing something, I would never accuse him, because you don't accuse these people. I would have to get them to confess it to me. And then when I put it in writing and send it off in an email, I'd have them confirm the email and send it back. Well, I had this one little nigga had the nerve to go in the middle of my email and change what I said like I wasn't going to go back and read my shit. Bitch, don't you ever. Do you hear me? So I had to pull him in a conversation and be like, baby, trust is everything with me. You can't go behind me and change my email that I asked you to simply acknowledge and reply to. Don't you ever, bitch. Okay? So I think that there are people like a Keith Freeman and a Tanjanique Miller. I've been saying her name wrong. It's not Tanjanique. I gave her mama way too much credit. She's missing a letter. But what a surprise. What a surprise that somebody on this team is missing a letter. I think that these people think that they're much smarter than they are because they've been able to get away with so much for so long. But they've come into the age of Aquarius. You might have been able to get away with that stuff in up until about maybe 2021. And then something hit and things changed. About 2020, time changed. The age changed. And you can't just do what you want to do to people. Energy matters. So I think that we've come to a situation where they've hit the end of the wall. Their time is coming soon. They think they're well protected, but the people that are protecting them are not protected. That's what they'll find out. Let them continue. Then we're going to go back to what Stan Brown said.
If I'm wrong, but it looks like this is going to be a messier, crazier investigation because it looks like if they're able to do that, changing certain things, trying to find ways to skirt around the law. There's a lot of documents that's going to be changed I don't know if this is true that there's.
So every time you heard Tangenique say, I showed to the judge. Hold on, let me make sure my microphone is on. I had a little flub today. I'm making sure we don't do that again. Because smart people don't make the same mistake twice. But when you heard, I told you, every time Tangenique said, I showed the judge, so I'm not lying. They had fucked up them documents. They had went in and did some shit and showed the judge something that never happened. They showed some sort of trace of communication and something like that. And a lot of those documents, I guarantee you, a lot of the documents they're actually sharing with the Dalton trustees, do not trust them. It was mentioned by Go Political, who is a stellar member of the Breakdown crew. Go Political put out a video a couple days ago giving some advice to the Dalton trustees on how to strategize through this situation. And he mentioned to them that they need to connect with a strategist who's familiar with narcissism. Okay, I would say they also need to understand some neuro-linguistic pathology and how to speak to people in certain ways to trigger certain things in them without having to use the covert language, the overt language. No, not right now. No. Stop telling my business. Damn, Siri. Siri be telling on my business. But anyway, let's go ahead and let them continue. I think they do need to connect with somebody who can navigate them through this situation, not in a spiritual sense, but definitely in a strategic sense. Because they're dealing with some very evil-minded people. And one thing you have to understand is that there is a certain power in dark energy that you see people work in, and they get drunk off of it. If you understand how to work with your, what they call dark energy, I think that's very racist, but if you understand how to work with your, the energies that are maybe not so socially acceptable, then you'll understand when and how to move. But if you don't understand the balance, then you'll look like Tiffany, Henyard, and Keith Freeman and be addicted to lying. Let me let them continue.
There's probably some people saying that some of these documents may be shredded. Is Tiffany Henyard actually trying to become Nito Brown at the Carter, where in the part of the movie where the Carters, basically everything went to ruin, they got caught, they start burning down the building, they start throwing away all the paperwork, they destroy the entire projects. She's actually following this storyline to a T?
That's pretty much what we're living. Honestly, from the other side, it slightly feels the same. There is a small group of people that benefit from her being in office. You don't get support, which in the past she has had. We've seen her numbers, which, although not outstanding, she didn't win the mayor's seat with 1,000 votes. That means 1,000 people supported her. I think that you have to help some people, right? So we can't say that she's done nothing, but
only 1,000 people voted for Tiffany Henyard? Excuse me. While she did win, that's not a lot of people. We're talking about Dalton. It's 20,000 people. That means a lot of people voted against you by not even voting. They boycotted you by proxy, like people do black businesses. They just didn't support you. They didn't speak against you. They didn't come out and say don't, but they definitely were indifferent toward you. And you have to listen to that. If you had a good team, they would have made that information available to you and told you, here's a number of people that could have voted but didn't. Because you didn't even inspire them to vote. They decided that whether you win or lost, it didn't matter. And they actually hoped you lost, so they didn't vote against you. They just didn't vote. That's crazy. I'm going to wrap this up and go back to old Stan Brown in just a second, but they talking good.
I think that helping a few people doesn't make it okay for you to feel entitled to take everything else.
So let's go with some of the pale scale changes, and I'll have these documents later on. The problem is doing this when on this StreamYard, you can't see anything, and I have to start zooming in. And I think eventually I'll probably have to do another program where I can zoom in, because documents, you need to see what's going on. I can just put a piece of paper there, people won't know what I'm talking about. But I'll probably put the pay scale so you guys understand what's going on. So explain it for us. You know, her trying to change her salary compared to the
I'm gonna let this part go. I'm gonna come back and talk about this with the pay scale stuff, because I think we understand that. But I want to go back to old Stan Brown, so we can give him
Numbers
opportunity
together,
to talk
and
dumb again. Come on, Stan.
You to do a great job for the village of Dalton. And that
No, absolutely not.
I did hear something. We pay a finance director to put these numbers together. They scrub these bills down and put the numbers together, and yes, it's being read. So this is not here where I'm going to be debating on, arguing about numbers. The report is being read. The numbers are a finance director to put these numbers together. They scrub these bills down and put the numbers together, and yes, it's
He ain't never lied. They scrubbing them motherfucking bills. Do you hear me? They not just taking the numbers and putting them into a report. They are changing invoices so that it is less obvious who made the purchase and what the purchase was. Y'all, I'm going to tell you a quick story and then I'm going to let you go. So when I was about 16 or maybe 17, I wasn't doing very well in a class. I was my senior year in high school. I remember I had a boyfriend and everything. I just totally lost my mind. I was done with all my credits for high school, and my parents wouldn't let me go to college. So I had to stay in high school longer and take classes I didn't give a fuck about. And I was going to tell them how much I didn't give a fuck about them by just not going. It doesn't make sense to me now as an adult, but it did as a 17-year-old. You know, this is how, you know, these Tiffany Henyards and Keith Freemans and Shanique Millers and Janice Johnsons and Stacey Carell's and Kim, whatever her wig's name is, and Lacey, and this is how they think. So my mom had a very close relationship with my school's principal, of course. You know, they used to walk and pray together and shit. It was real gross. And my mom had my principal fax her a copy of my report card. Now this was back in the day, 1997 or 8 at the time. And this was back when the fax would come out in that little thermal paper and it had that ink that kind of lifted off if you play with it long enough. So I decided I was going to take that fax. Now, mind you, my mother was a database administrator, computer programmer, okay? She had access to things most people don't, okay? Information most people don't have access to because she was super, super duper smart. And so I decided, you know, when Miss Johnson, my mother told me, she called me, she knew what to do. When my mama tell you game recognized game, my mama called me. She was like, Miss Johnson is going to fax us a copy of your report card downstairs in your daddy's office. Please get it and have it ready for me. Yeah, no problem, ma'am. I knew what that grade was going to look like. Look, I had a whole F in a class. I think it was business communication. It was a class where you learned how to type to be a secretary. I was going to school to be a television producer. I had already been accepted in college in 1996 or some shit. So I didn't even give a fuck. But I knew I had an F and my mom and daddy wasn't going to take that. Because what I didn't realize at the time was all my teachers had already been talking to my mommy and daddy. They had already known. They all kicked it together. They was all in the same Urban League, NAACP meetings. All them folks knew each other. My mama, daddy, and all of them. So I had realized that my mother already knew that I was failing this class. The teacher of the class was friends with my mother. The principal of the school was friends with my mother. Listen, my father was an administrator of the GED program in our city. These people knew my parents. And I'm sitting here thinking, because ain't nobody telling me nothing, I'm about to go downstairs and I'm about to work this report card. So I went downstairs. And I decided to get the report card off the fax machine. I ripped it off and I saw the F. So what I did was, my daddy had a typewriter, and if you know anything about a typewriter, because we didn't do stuff on computers back then. Everything happened on a typewriter. You typed out everything on a typewriter. So I put that fax machine paper, the fax that came through with the report card, I took that fax machine paper and I took that fax with that bad grade on it and I put it on my daddy's typewriter. I was already in his office. I was getting the fax. I put my daddy's typewriter on the thing, and you know how the typewriter used to have a whiteout button? Oh, yes. I whited out that B, that F, and I made it a B. Yes, I did. I sure did. I whited out that F, and I made it a B. Now, I knew that wasn't an acceptable grade in my family house, but at least wasn't going to get me too killed, okay? It wasn't no F. Shoot, I got beat for getting C's. I definitely was going to be okay with a B. So, I had already finished all my classes anyway. I was just in school so I wouldn't get pregnant. So, I also took that report card because I wasn't done there, honey. I was going to be a document forger, honey. I was destined at 16, 17 years old, honey, to be a document forger, honey. And I was practicing to go to jail. Okay, I was getting ready for the feds, baby. I was getting ready to get arrested by fucking with my report card. Listen, when I tell you my parents saw some shit and was like, nope, we not sending that out in the world. So I decided to take that typewritten, corrected report card, and I knew that didn't look good enough. So what did I do? I took the copy function of the fax machine, you know, the copy scanner fax we used to have back in the day. I copied the report card so that it came out of the fax machine as a brand new document. Bitch, I'm bad. Don't ever get it twisted. So my mama come home, and I knew she was home because I heard Sounds of Blackness roll up in the driveway. If you believe in some entity, your head to the sky. My mama couldn't stand it, white people. So she would come home with that music loud as fuck. She drove up in the driveway in her Hyundai Sonata. I went outside. My mama called me in the house. She looked, come on outside. Honked the horn or something. I can't remember. But I went outside and I sat in the car with her. She told me to come outside. Somehow she communicated. I don't think she had a cell phone because that was 97, 98. But she told me to come outside. I came outside with the report card because she wanted to see the report card. And my mama, if I had known better, you know, my mother wasn't the kind of person to bring bad energy into the house on purpose. She'd bring it into my house as an adult. But as a child, when I was a child, she was very protective of the energy of the house. So if she had some shit to deal with, she would deal with it in her car before she came in the house. My mother told me to come out to the car. I didn't realize I was about to get my ass whooped. So I take this report card outside. I'm super excited to show her my work. I'm so excited to show my mama my work. It's not even funny. But I have not connected with the fact that my mom and daddy used to run game back in the day. Back in the 70s, honey. They did shit before anybody knew what was going on. Okay? So my mom and daddy have already been able to peep the game that is before them in their child. And were determined not to allow me to go out into the world trying to play these kinds of games with people. Okay? So that I wouldn't embarrass myself, so I wouldn't get arrested, so I wouldn't get killed. Okay? Integrity became a very important thing in my household. So I go outside and I show my mama this report card. And I'm proud. Oh, mama, look at this B I got in this class. It's so easy. You know. My mama took her finger and licked it. What you doing, mama? She took her finger and she licked it. And she rubbed on that fax paper. And when I tell you my mama rubbed I don't know. I'm telling you, I come from a long line of witches. My mama rubbed that B right off it, and the F was right. How in the fuck? To this day, I can't tell you how she did it. Because I know I created that document seamlessly. I know I prayed and asked Jesus to tell me how to get away with this, okay? Because he had got me out of so many things before that I knew this was the right way to do it. Jesus told me, go take that fax and put the whiteout button on it, take off the F, put a B on top of it, and then run it through the fax machine like a copy, and it's gonna print a brand new letter on it. It's gonna look all the same. Listen, I'm telling you, my mama took her finger and licked it. There should be no way that B turned into an F right before my eyes, but it did. I don't remember much after that, to be honest with you. I don't know what happened. I'll tell you this. I get a tingle in my spine anytime I think about doing some dumb shit. You hear me? I get a tingle in my motherfucking spine whenever I think about doing some dumb shit. Because what my mother told me will always ring true. Game, recognize game. Y'all out here scrubbing these bills down like ain't nobody keeping track of shit. It's 2 bills on the fucking screen. 2, I'm sorry. 2, where is it? Bring it back. Give me back that video. YouTube is fucking with me. Let me see if I can get it this.
Comes together, and yes, it's being read. So this is not.
We don't want to talk to him anymore. Anyway, it was 2 bills on that screen. Both of them. One said to the Village of Dalton, Keith Freeman. You know, Tiffany is putting her orders in through the department heads. The administrator isn't off target. He already buying her wigs. And I understand her spending $5,000 or $6,000 a month in beauty supplies. We saw her today without makeup, without hair, without nothing. Like, we know it takes, honey, sometimes it takes it. But you just got to use your own money. You have a high enough salary. But those documents, they're obviously not the same. It's obvious they've forged those documents. What would make us think they do anything different with anything else? That's why she can't come out with that podcast. Truth Speaks, On the Move, On the Run, nothing. Because I told you last Friday when she had us thinking about her. I think it was Saturday morning when I said, we already know Keith Freeman fucks with documents. He is the Pookie and the Ray Ray of the bunch. He is the pookiest and the Ray Rayest of them all. He got more Pookie and Ray Ray than anybody in Atlanta or San Diego or San Bernardino or San Jose. He got more Pookie and Ray Ray than anybody in Houston or Chicago or LA or anywhere else where people like to forge documents. New York. He got more Pookie and Ray Ray in him than all of them. That's why that hedge fund never came through, because people saw the scam. The nigga been scamming. You can never trust a grown man with curly eyelashes. Please believe it. That's all I got. Ain't got no more. I holla.